going on, guys? It's your boy Spudzie here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Weaponmaster on the Engineer. This one is really exciting because Engineer is a class that doesn't really have a lot of weapons at their disposal, but now with Weaponmaster, it actually feels like you have options now on the Engineer after so long, so that's a really nice change. I will say, however, that because of Weaponmaster, a few of the weapons on Engineer are really just not making the cut anymore. They're pretty much like power crept. You shouldn't use them. I'm talking about main hand sword. Yeah, you'll see in this video what I'm talking about. But let's just go ahead and get right into it. Starting off will be the Mace. Now I feel like Mace on the Hollowsmith feels pretty good in a bunker build. It has a lot of crowd control and boons with barrier as well. What makes this so nice is that on the Hollowsmith I chose to run like a protection hollow build, which is a build that already existed, except you had to run shield with it, which meant your only option was sword or pistol. So basically sword. But now you have Mace, which is literally the de facto bunker option. Great durability, great CC, just feels like it fits this build perfectly. Complements it really nicely. The mid-range stun on Mace 3 is great setup for going hollow mode and adds more potency while you're in hollow mode. Felt great, and honestly, as you're gonna see in the rest of this video, sword kind of got outclassed. Like the main hand weapon for Engineer, like the prime pick is now Mace. Mace just does everything that you'd want with an offhand shield, with an offhand pistol. It's just the de facto main hand weapon now on Engineer. Moving on to the Scrapper with a Mace. It actually has really good synergy with Scrapper trait line thanks to the Mace 2 barrier as well as the leap. That leap finisher actually plays into the Scrapper trait line as well as their gyros, so you have that synergy as well. It's not bad at all. It's actually a pretty good bunker option running this with a shield. It would be good in a bunker meta for PvP in my opinion, once the DPS meta has gone down, just because right now everything's so bursty in PvP. Not really a spot for this, but in the future I could definitely see this being a pretty fun bunker build. And I know that we briefly touched on the barrier traits on Mace 2, but it actually is pretty huge. Like I was getting so much barrier from Mace 2 because it has such a low cooldown, a lower cooldown than main hand sword, and your barriers are more effective on Scrapper, and whenever you daze an opponent or stun them, you actually get more barrier and you apply weakness and slow thanks to the traits in Scrapper. So Mace literally has both of those along with shield, so that's just fantastic pairing and a fantastic combination. Moving along to the Hammer. Now this one is one that everyone has been hyped for, Hammer Hollowsmith. This literally feels like a juggernaut. This feels like the big old juggernaut Engineer that you wanted to play, that you've been waiting for. Hammer is a great weapon. Like it is probably Engineer's best weapon. It combos well with explosives, has leap finishers, it has everything that you need. The Photon Forge has explosives as well, and additional tools, CC, damage that pair nicely with the Hammer. You know, because Hammer has block, stun, a leap, a whirl. You have so much stuff on there. The barrier on the Hammer and the range stun actually fit really nicely with the Photon Forge and the elite skill. You just have so many options. Like there's just so much things that they have to dodge and like look out for on the Hollowsmith with the Hammer that it just becomes a lot to watch. Like you have to watch out for the elite skill, Hammer 5, Hollow Forge 5, Corona Burst. There's just so much that could happen to you that Engineer just feels super strong. And not to mention the tool belt skill on grenades. I know it's not a part of Weaponmaster, but you have to watch out for that too. So you just have a lot of mix-up potential with your abilities. There's just so much going on that makes it a lot of fun, and it's really good. Honestly, I probably would consider this pretty meta. Probably one of the most meta things outside of Revenant that came out of Weaponmaster. Now, Hammer on the Mechanist. Alright, so Hammer Mechanist for me personally is fun to play. I know a lot of people don't really like Mechanist because the AI or feels cheesy, feels cheap, you can't have a skin on it, you know, all that stuff. But all the negativity aside, I feel like Hammer on the Mechanist is a blast. You have barrier on the Hammer, which kind of adds to that bulkiness that you have being in melee range with your mech. Having the mech to help with damage is really nice as well, because Hammer does have some pretty long cooldowns on the back end skills, and outside of that you don't really have tool belt skills on Mechanist, so having the mech there to help you with damage and give you quickness and even like free you from CC if you have those traits just feels really nice. You just have a lot of utility thanks to your mech, and you have signets as well. I think signets are a pretty big one because you heal passively from the heal one, you have a teleport, you have the elite skill, which is a giant beam that your mech can do. It just feels nice being able to get in there and brawl with your hammer while being able to command your mech to do things. It really feels like you're a tag team duo. I know it sounds kind of like cheesy, but being in there with your mech and your tag team duoing like on an opponent, and you have like your F2, F1s going off while you're able to just bash them with the hammer, it actually feels pretty good. And honestly, it feels like what I was hoping that Mechanist would end up being. Having the rocket punch on the mech when you use hammer 3 actually is a pretty good synergy, because those leaps do a lot of damage, and if you combo those with a combo field, you are getting leap finishers while they are stunned inside of your leap. So pretty good combination. I don't know how meta it's going to be, but honestly it is a lot of fun and I would be down to experiment with it. So if you want something to play around with, Hammer Mech is definitely there and definitely viable. You know, while everything in this video has been good so far, we need to talk about main hand sword and core engineer. I'll be honest, alright? Main hand sword is pretty trash. I wouldn't use it on any spec, maybe Hollowsmith, but now we have Mace, it's like that's a better weapon now. So on terms of solely PvP, main hand sword is garbage. I know they buffed the damage on other specs so you don't have to rely on heat levels to do damage, but it's still pretty trash. The leap cooldown is worse than Mace. It doesn't give barrier. Yeah, it gives quickness, but like you don't need that. And then the sword too is pretty much useless without heat. It just isn't viable. And yeah, the sword auto attacks do more damage than the Mace, but are you going to be standing there auto attacking? You're really not. Having that extra days on the Mace is just so much better. It has more synergy with your trait lines and has more setup potential. So for that reason, sword is not worth using at all. And then real quickly, core engineer, why are we even talking about, why are we even playing core engineer? Guys, seriously, I don't want you guys I don't want any of you in my comment section to be telling me I forgot core engineer. I did not forget it, alright? ArenaNet forgot about it. Don't blame me. And that about wraps it up. You know, that was actually pretty short. Engineer doesn't really have that many combinations to talk about, but the ones that it did get actually feel really good and pretty strong. I would say that Weaponmaster for engineer, it leans pretty heavy into the fun side, but also dips into the meta side as well. I feel like compared to the other classes that we've covered so far, this one would definitely be number 2 on terms of how much it affects the overall meta and current builds on engineer. Hammer is such a great weapon. It's pretty much the best weapon that having it on other specs is huge. And then Mace is just the de facto main hand weapon for engineer now. I feel like there's just no way around that. So if you want to play a nice bunker build, Mace shield on engineer is going to be the future. Where if you want to play a more like brawler or burst build, then Hammer is going to be your option. Bit of a side note, I'm actually really excited for whenever they release phase 2 of this expansion, when we get the brand new weapons for every class. I feel like Shortbow engineer, oh my gosh, I'm just speculating about it. It was going to be so much fun. Like imagine every Shortbow skill, you're just like throwing out like little gadgets on them. Like I imagine it would work like the mortar kit where it's on a Shortbow, where you're just throwing out like these little arrows that explode and do like poison or chill and just like have a bunch of different effects. It honestly sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see how it works. Let me know what you think about the Weaponmaster videos and what class you want to see next. Do you think that Weaponmaster on the engineer is as exciting as I'm making it out to be? If not, go ahead and tell me why. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.